AI is here too.
Mhm. Hey,
Hello.
Carol. Hey, Ted.
Ted?
And hello, Caroline. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Yeah. Ah,
Hey, that's a great background. I love it.
oh, I wish I
Mhm.
could say it was my backyard, but it's I don't have a price tag of 10 digits. But no, that's 5 minutes from home. So
That's nice.
yeah. Alan, I did all the errands and made it home in time.
Yeah.
To empty the sand out of your shoes, right?
Oh, well, Alan is the avocado man. He has
Mhm.
the most gorgeous avocados you have. I mean, you could put them on your face. They're so
Mhm.
That might be a good idea.
That's the secret to that smooth skin, isn't it? I've
Yeah.
always
hey,
wondered.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, no. So
Maybe everybody could start putting into the chat window where they're from, what club they belong to, and where they served in the Peace Corps, if they served in the Peace Corps.
Or your Rotary Club.
Yeah. Yeah, Rotary Club for sure. And then what country you served in the Peace Corps.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Who's talking? Oh,
Carrie.
Carrie. There's Carrie. I didn't see you
Yes.
Hey,
first.
Carrie.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you, Ted. It's been
I
ages.
know it has.
Hmm.
How's
Great to see
everything? Are
you.
you still Peace Corps?
I am. They
Oh,
haven't
that's
gotten
great.
rid of me yet.
Oh, you're so lucky.
I know I am.
Seriously lucky.
I
Hmm.
absolutely am.
Oh
we
my
are so
goodness. I
lucky.
wish I were in your shoes.
Hi, Jody.
And Jody's joined.
I'm here.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Awesome. Great to see you.
Wonderful to see you. It's all this stuff, just too much time passes.
I know, but we're going to be together in November, so that's good.
Yes, we are. I'm excited
Yep.
about that. We're going to have a good
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Jody, good to see you.
Good to see you. Ted, you're always wonderful. I was channeling you when I was writing my remarks.
Uh-oh.
I know. So you're going to say, oh, Jody, you got it all wrong, but that's okay.
Mhm.
Steve, are we going to be recording this?
I think it's
It-
already being recorded.
Yeah, I started the recording.
Okay.
Great.
Hey, Jody.
Eve.
I like the masks behind you.
Oh, yes, they're from all over.
Are they? That's really cool.
Yeah, well, what happened was I had a bunch of masks, and so about 15 years ago, I hung them up on this wall, never realizing that 10 years later, COVID would come and it would become my sort of little badge of honor as I sat here on calls.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're fantastic, actually.
they are.
And I have a painting from Haiti. There. So, yeah, goodies.
I just blurred my screen, but I have a very cool picture from Ethiopia.
Oh,
But it's a photograph, so it doesn't translate as well.
Where in
Steve
Ethiopia?
has a very nice one. Sorry?
Where in Ethiopia?
It's actually in Omo, so southern Ethiopia, quite close to the border with Kenya and
Yep.
kind of on the way to Sudan.
Okay.
Yep. So we're all saying where we're from. We're supposed to do that in the chat, right?
Yeah.
oh.
But it's all right. We can listen.
Mhm.
All right, where are you? Carrie Hessler.
But that means I have to put my glasses on.
I know.
Terrible.
I know.
So, Rosemary, I'll leave it up to you.
Okay. I'm actually putting in my RPCV Paraguay, Guatemala. Do you know, Steve, have we seen Charlie yet on the phone, on the call?
I don't see him yet. But there's Ken and Bernadine. And Pete.
Oh, that's nice, Ken and Bernadine.
Pete, long time no see.
It's very dangerous to start naming
Good to see you,
names. There are a lot of
Carrie.
wonderful people there, so I'm stopping.
Mhm.
But hello, everyone. It's so lovely to see you all. People are starting to come on board.
Hey, Steve, nice to see you as well.
Yeah,
It has been a while. How are you doing?
good. We'll have to connect outside of the call.
Yeah.
This
Here's
is rather
Ken
an
and
esteemed
Bernadine.
audience, I
Yeah.
have to say. I'm very impressed.
Mm.
And knowing that there's Monday Night Football on, I'm even more.
Oh, there we go.
Don't tell everyone.
Well, Steve
Yeah,
Yeah,
knows how
exactly.
to
Don't
gather
remind
people.
us.
Oh, there's Charlie. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Charlie.
Hi,
That's what I was
Charlie.
waiting for.
Sorry, everyone. We're running just a tad late getting out. We're meeting some friends for dinner right after I do the startup here tonight to kick off.
Well,
Are you ready for me to go ahead?
I'm ready to introduce you. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay. And first of all, I wanted to introduce Steve Werner to all of those who do not know him, which I imagine is very few indeed. But he is going to be acting tonight as our audiovisual engineer. But he is also RPCB South Korea. Is that correct? He's was
Yes.
past director of the National Peace Corps Association, and he's also, like me, a Rotary Wash ambassador, which is how we mostly
Oh,
work
sorry.
together. And I'm Rosemary Takacs, Peace Corps Paraguay, and then Guatemala, and the Wash ambassador with District 6970. And we are here to introduce next Charlie Hunt, who's the current president of Partnering for Peace, and to kick off this very this week of excellent speakers that we have lined up that talk to the partnership between Rotary and Peace Corps. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Charlie.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. So I'm traveling at the moment and currently in Utica, New York. So I'm away from my home in Denver, Colorado. Tonight kicks off the 4th annual Rotary Peace Corps Week. Partnering for Peace mission is to help partner Rotary and Rotaract members with past and current Peace Corps volunteers for their mutual benefit, and to help connect Rotary clubs with Peace Corps posts in the 61 Peace Corps countries. To do this, we need all of you to help. If your club is doing a project overseas in a country where Peace Corps volunteers are working, let us help you to get connected with those Peace Corps staff, and hopefully with a volunteer who could possibly assist with your project. In the United States, I would ask you to find out who in your community is becoming a Peace Corps volunteer and connect with them before they go overseas for their service. And if you are in a Rotary club in a country where Peace Corps is located, get connected to the local Peace Corps staff, and we can help with that. This evening, we are focused on community connections, and to start the conversation, our first presenter is my friend and past Peace Corps director, Carrie Hessler Radelet. Carrie was the first Peace Corps director to sign a partnership agreement with Rotary International General Secretary John Hugo. And with that, Carrie, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Charlie. Can you guys hear me? It's
Yes.
just, you can. Okay, good. Well, hello, everyone. As Charlie said, I'm Carrie Hessler Radelet. I was a volunteer with my husband, Steve, in Western Samoa in the early 80s. And then I was deputy director and then director of the Peace Corps under President Obama. And I have to say that Jody was a bookend on both sides of my tenure at Peace Corps. She handed off to me, one deputy director to the next, and then I handed back to her as one director to the next. So she and I have a very special bond. I'm so happy she's here tonight. To the rest of you, thank you so much for inviting me to join you tonight. Whenever I get to participate in a Rotary event, it always feels like I'm coming home. I come from a family of proud Rotarians. My father is an active Rotarian at age 93. My grandfather and my Aunt Ginny, both of whom served as Peace Corps volunteers, were Rotarians. My grandfather has passed. And I'm a Rotarian as well, although I have to confess in all honesty that I had to step back during COVID. But I have been a member for years at the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C. and remain very deeply committed to Rotary today. So I just want to speak for a few minutes on Rotary and Peace Corps and all that they have in common. So Rotary operates in all of the countries where Peace Corps operates, and then about 140 more, which I find truly amazing. Out in the field, members of both organizations have collaborated on projects in literacy and water, sanitation, polio eradication, health more broadly, all projects to really address felt community needs. When I think about the benefits of the partnership between Rotary and Peace Corps, what comes to mind, first of all, is that Rotarians make absolutely spectacular Peace Corps volunteers, as you see here today on this call, but you'll hear all through this week. Rotary, as you know, contributes to Peace Corps partnership programs, which help Peace Corps volunteers and their communities access funding and technical assistance to support sustainable, community-driven development projects. Peace Corps volunteers sometimes join local Rotary clubs during their service overseas and bring development projects to their local Rotary clubs for consideration. And then when volunteers return to the U.S., Rotary clubs serve as an invaluable resource for many of them, helping return volunteers connect with career opportunities and opportunities to continue serving back here at home. So it's really, truly no surprise that Peace Corps and Rotary communities overlap and intersect many times over. You probably already know that Peace Corps' founder, JFK, was an honorary Rotarian. And I remember I was a Peace Corps volunteer and I was also regularly receiving Rotarian magazine. One of my favorite quotes was, and it was in Rotarian magazine, if you shake hands with a former Peace Corps volunteer, there's a good chance you just met a Rotarian too. And I think that's true. So time and again, we've seen that return volunteers make great Rotarians and Rotarians make great Peace Corps volunteers. And that's why it was already an obvious alliance when Peace Corps and Rotary International came together in May 2014, a decade ago. It's shocking to believe that, to formalize our relationship through our memorandum of understanding or partnership agreement to work together in promoting service and global development. What we really did is pledge to join forces across our common efforts to inspire volunteerism across the country and across the world. And that included collaboration overseas. So to share resources and expertise and to foster connections to boost the impact of development projects that were being completed by both volunteers and Rotarians. We're also working together domestically, enlisting the support of Rotarians in recruiting Peace Corps volunteers and engaging Rotary clubs to help return Peace Corps volunteers share their experiences and continue service back here at home. And I visited many Rotary clubs during my time when I was Peace Corps director. So we are old friends, and today our members continue to work together to serve others and build peace on the ground, one person, one connection, one community at a time. So during this week, we're coming together from all over the world, from all fields of expertise, all walks of life, to explore solutions for creating peace. I'm sure many of you feel, as I do, that there could not be a more urgent time for this conversation. When we look at what's happening in the news, when we listen to the rhetoric all around us, division seems to be everywhere. And when I look at the root cause of that division, what I see is fear. Fear of the other, fear of the unknown, fear of losing something, fear of the future. At a time this turbulent, in a world this divided, and precarious, when so many people seem gripped by fear, how can we begin to sow seeds of peace and unity? We have to begin somewhere. I think of the words of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, the first democratically elected head of state in Africa. Female head of state in Africa. When she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, she said, "Do not be afraid to seek peace, even if your voice may be small. Be not afraid to stand up and demand peace." At a time when fear seems to be all around us everywhere, peace begins, as President Sirleaf reminds us, with individual courage and commitment. Peace begins, as another fierce human rights champion, Eleanor Roosevelt, famously said, in small places, close to home. I believe that the foundation of peace is the human heart, reaching out to others in trust. It starts at home, in families, workplaces, communities. It begins with understanding and patience and hope. It manifests itself in the creation of open, inclusive communities that value each member and celebrate the diversity that each person brings. Peace cannot grow when hearts are shriveled by fear. And the opposite is true as well. Fear dissolves in the comfort of peaceful relationships of trust built across barriers of all kinds. At the Peace Corps, that's a belief that has inspired the work of nearly 240,000 volunteers in more than 142 countries since its founding in 1961. And that is the work of Rotary International, which has built bridges of peace between nations and people in more than 200 countries since its founding in 1905. Both organizations inspire its members to travel in service to parts unknown, to fearlessly build relationships of trust between peoples of all nations. Both work on issues that matter most to humanity. Both work with communities to reduce poverty and nurture opportunity at the last mile of development. Both come with a specific job to do, but also do so much more. They learn to see the world through another's eyes, and that's what gives them the heart to work in humility for peace wherever they are. So I just want to close with a story that illustrates the power and potential that Rotary and Peace Corps working together can bring to our world. And this is a story from my time at Peace Corps. So towards the end of my time at Peace Corps, I traveled to Peru to visit with Peace Corps volunteers and staff. And I learned about a volunteer, I think her name was Suzanne, who collaborated with a Rotary Club from Lima on a project to bring water and sanitation services to her village that was south of the capital. I think it was near Ica. Rotary provided the funding for community sanitation centers and individual home latrines. Water engineers came from Rotary clubs in the United States and may have even come from Denver to help support the project. Suzanne's part of it was to work with the community in leading health talks about the importance of hand washing and proper use and maintenance of latrines and water pumps and basic health care. One day, there was a big celebration to dedicate the completion of a community sanitation project. There was a ribbon cutting on the community sanitation center, and there were speeches and music, and it was a very happy affair. Except Suzanne noticed that way off in the back of the crowd, apart from everyone else, stood a woman and a small child who were visibly very upset. She was a woman that Suzanne had seen many times before, but didn't really know. She seemed to be alone a lot of the time. So Suzanne decided to go over and speak with the woman in her local language to ask her what was wrong, and the woman broke down sobbing. She told Suzanne that her name was Sophia. She had moved to this village with her husband a number of years ago, and they had a child together. Sophia's husband worked in the mines, and he only came home occasionally. One day he brought back HIV. So now Sophia was HIV positive. Her husband had abandoned her, and her own family would not take her back. She and her child lived alone in the village, shunned by the community. and she was weeping because she had just been told a few minutes earlier that she could not use the new community facilities that were being dedicated. Her sense of isolation was profound. Suzanne went right away to speak to the head of the Lima Rotary Club, who was there for the dedication, and he agreed immediately that Rotary would build her a personal retreat in her home. But Suzanne couldn't stop thinking about Sophia and the fear and loneliness and isolation she had expressed that was really driven by her HIV. Now, Suzanne had an after-school girls club that she led. So the next week, she raised the issue with the girls, and she asked them if there was anything they thought they could do to help Sophia. The girls said, "Let's be your friend." So over the next few months, the girls started visiting Sophia, at first just stopping by for a conversation, but then they started playing with the child or babysitting, inviting her to their homes, talking to their families about HIV and how they didn't need to fear Sophia or her disease. Suzanne and the girls held an HIV fair at school to educate both their teachers and their fellow students. And within 6 months, with the love and support and leadership of those high school girls, the community began to open its arms to Sophia. She was finally welcomed at the Community Sanitation Center, and she developed new friendships in the community. With the support of partners like Rotary International, Peace Corps volunteers are working with communities around the world to spark sustainable change that gives people opportunities they might never have dreamed of, change that gives people a chance at a better life, change that gives people hope for the future, change that nurtures peace, one heart at a time. And that's why I'm so excited about this week. For me, this is such a celebration of the things that bind Rotary International and Peace Corps together. What a privilege it was just over a decade ago to sign the partnership agreement between Rotary and Peace Corps with John Hugo, my dear friend, to formalize collaboration between Rotarians and Peace Corps volunteers to work together in service to build a world of peace. So today we celebrate with all of you who continue to live out the promise and potential of that partnership agreement. Thank you so, so much for your service and for your visible commitment to lifting our world. It is such an honor to be among you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. It's such a touching story, and I know that there's lots of questions that people have for you, but in the interest of time, I think we're going to move along, and we're going to see a little video actually from Stephanie Urchick that she is sending a greeting to us. And Steve, how are we doing on that?
Hello, family of Rotary. It is my honor to send you goodwill and good wishes from Rotary leadership and all across our Rotary family. Rotary offers people of action a chance to connect and find belonging, and fellowship gives us the potential to improve our communities and the world. By following Rotary's action plan and helping make sure all members feel a sense of belonging in their club, you have a special opportunity to inspire members to new heights of service. Our ability to create lasting change begins with our family of Rotary. Together, it is within our power to bring healing in a divided world. Join me in making Rotary a source of inspiration within and beyond our membership. Let this be the year we harness the magic of Rotary, and let Rotary be known as an organization that takes care of its members as well as the people we serve.
Thank you, Steve. Stephanie, unfortunately, is traveling the world in her duties as as the new current Rotary president, but she wanted to send her greetings and to wish us well during this week. One of her missions that you all know is the magic of Rotary, but she is also committed to peace and said that peace is her priority, healing the divided world. And Steve, I think we have then another video up, which was, we were expecting this to be Cal Mann burning the midnight oil in the UK because he's very much at a different time zone than we are, with Kerry Carmichael and Megan Kyle. They are all Peace Corps recruiters, and unfortunately they were not able to join us at the last moment. So they have sent also a video here.
Let me hold on 1 second. Let me just make sure I got it. I had this a second ago.
Okay.
I'm gonna try it one more time.
Well, in the meantime, perhaps if there's any questions for Carrie.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. See if there's any
Okay.
questions.
Are there any questions for Carrie? I'm very touched by your story in Peru, and I know, I guess I know myself, having worked in a number of WASH projects, that how it breaks your heart. I mean, the people you meet, especially when you go into their homes and in their communities. So I do appreciate you reaching out.
So this video is actually Megan Kyle, who is an RPCV who just finished her term as president of her local Rotary Club in New Hampshire, and she's also a Peace Corps recruiter for the Northeast. So let me get it started.
Okay. I see the email up there from Carrie.
Oh, it's not showing?
Nope.
Oh, it's showing on my computer. Sorry about that.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, sorry. Let me try something different. Sorry about that. It worked a minute ago, of course.
Okay. There, I see it.
You see it now? Okay.
Celebrating with you today,
Can you hear
the
it?
Rotary and Peace Corps Partnership Week. So I'm happy to be here to talk more about the partnership, ways that it has worked in the past, ways that you can get involved either as a single Rotarian or as a whole club. So yeah, I think first things first is I think Rotarians would make really great Peace Corps volunteers, just as much as I think return Peace Corps volunteers would make really great Rotarians. So these are the three different ways that you can become a Peace Corps volunteer and get more involved on an individual basis. So the first one is the general program, the Peace Corps volunteer. So this is a 27-month commitment, just 3 months of training done in the country of service, followed by 2 years of service in a community within that country. This is a really great option for maybe some of our Rotaract or potentially some of our Interact students once they become at least 18 years old. Fun fact, there is no upper age limit for serving in the Peace Corps. So as long as you are over the age of 18 and a United States citizen, you are eligible to become a Peace Corps volunteer. So sometimes I hear a lot of Rotarians especially say, oh man, I'm too old. I wish I would have done this when I was younger. I can't do it now, I'm too old. And I have to be like, no, there's no upper age limit. You could still do this if you really wanted to. So, I talk to a lot of people that are kind of in the boat of like, hey, my kids are off to college, or hey, I'm retired now. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And they're finally doing it, which I think is amazing. So that's the general Peace Corps volunteer program. We also have Peace Corps Response, which these are short-term high-impact assignments, usually between 6 to 12 months in length, although you'll see a few that are as short as 3 months. These are positions made in response to a very specific need that has been identified in the community. So in order to qualify for some of these positions, you generally have to have a little bit more, work and experience that you can bring to the table. So this might not be a really great option for some of our Rotaractors or our interactors in the future. Generally, when we're looking at average age, the Peace Corps response volunteers tend to be a little bit older than the general Peace Corps volunteer. But if you're looking at ways to get involved, to go overseas and actually serve a community, and that 2 years is slightly too long for you, but you could do up to a year, this might be a really great fit. Finally, we have our virtual service, which this was obviously started during the pandemic as a way to keep interacting with our host partners in countries abroad, even though we couldn't physically send volunteers out because of the pandemic. So here we're looking for volunteers to donate about 5 to 15 hours per week over a 3 to 6 month commitment in which you're working with the counterpart via Zoom, via phone calls, via email, asynchronously online. Again, these are kind of more specific programs, just like with response, than you're going to see in the general, more broad 2-year commitment service model. But this is a great way if you're still looking to get involved, go overseas, but maybe you can't leave the United States right now. Maybe you have children, maybe you have a medical condition that's preventing you from serving. This might be a really great fit as well. So there's, a wide variety here of ways to become a Peace Corps volunteer and to get more involved. On the Peace Corps side of things, and I don't know if I said already, but I personally think return Peace Corps volunteers make great Rotarians. I also believe that Rotarians would make really great Peace Corps volunteers. And when we look at the Rotary 7 areas of focus compared to Peace Corps' 6 sectors of where the volunteers serve in, you can see why it makes so much sense that there is this partnership, right? Like some of these are word for word the same. There's so much overlap between the work that Rotary clubs do, all around the world, as well as what Peace Corps volunteers focus on in their communities. And it makes just as much sense, again, when we look at all of the countries that Peace Corps volunteers serve in. So all of these countries that are highlighted are our current Peace Corps partner countries. There are also countries that have Rotary clubs. So when you talk about the overlap between just where Rotary and Peace Corps are working, as well as the work that they are doing in communities all around the world, it makes a lot of sense that there is this partnership. So I'm super excited that it's, picking up speed, it's gaining more traction, more visibility, more people are knowing about it. I think it's amazing because I fully believe the more hands you have on a project, the greater your impact is going to be, right? So I've talked about ways that you can become a Peace Corps volunteer yourself. Maybe you are looking for a way for your club, a club as a collective whole to get more involved in the Peace Corps partnership, right? There's obviously a wide variety of ways that this could work, as it has worked in the past as well. So one example I have here is from Shannon Carter. She was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine who got connected with the local Rotary Club and was able to start the very first Rotary or RILA conference, right? Which was amazing. She was able to continue working with her community virtually come 2020 with the pandemic to make sure that this was still ongoing, which I just think is great. So maybe you are going to help someone, maybe someone in your community going to become a Peace Corps volunteer. Maybe you can help them get in contact with whatever local Rotary Club is most near to them when they're serving as a Peace Corps volunteer. Another way that Rotary clubs can get involved is fulfilling some of our small partnership grants, right? So our Peace Corps partnership program, this is when a volunteer is doing maybe some sort of building, in their community. Maybe they're building a dorm, maybe they're building a library, and they need funds in order to fulfill that project, right? I know a lot of Rotary clubs have a line item for international projects. This is a great way to, fulfill the need. And we all know $1 here in the United States goes much further in a lot of these countries that we're partnering with, right? So this is a big way that Rotary clubs can get involved in the Peace Corps and Rotary partnership is by funding these projects. So here's an example from the Peace Corps Peru and the Mill Valley Rotary Club, in which the Peace Corps volunteer was funded through one of these PCPP grants in order to build 15 bathrooms up in their Peruvian mountain town and actually connect them to a sewer, which I think is amazing. The final example I have for you today is actually getting connected with a volunteer, maybe sending them supplies, right? Maybe they built a library. Now they need books. Now they need a computer, right? Or maybe like this example here, with a Peace Corps group in Tonga, where they made the water catchment tanks as a way to have water in the community and at the school. Maybe it's helping that volunteer also collaborate on making the manual to make sure that the maintenance is going to be properly addressed for this project that was just completed, right? I feel like you hear about so many organizations or projects or things like that that happen internationally, and maybe not, no one leaves money to buy a part that breaks, or no one leaves any information about how to maintain whatever system, whether it was a well or something else that was built. And then when something breaks and something goes wrong, no one in the community knows how to continue that project. So having that manual to make sure that you're maintaining things really just helps with the sustainability of the project. So maybe that's another way that can get involved, helping them write those manuals, helping them furnish whether the library, the school, whatever the case may be. So I've thrown a lot of different ideas at you today. This is my contact information. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm always happy to talk more about the Rotary and Peace Corps partnership. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Here I'm waving. Thank you, Steve, for sharing this video that came to us from Megan. And I know that there are a lot of different options now for serving in Peace Corps, more than there were when I served the first time, although the second time I was a response volunteer. And I know that of all of you on the screen that today, there probably are a lot of you who have served as response volunteers. But has anyone served as a virtual volunteer yet? I'd be curious about that. That would be interesting to try. And the next up, we have a partnership, I guess, counterparts. That's a Peace Corps word, but the counterparts being Carrie Golden from the Rotary International Staff and Ted Adams from the Peace Corps staff to talk about what the partnership means to each of them. Have you decided who's going first, Carrie or Ted?
Go ahead, Carrie. Take it away.
I'll take it away. Thank you so much, Ted. And we will tag team this together, as is our roles for our wonderful partnership. I am so excited how much ground you've already covered. I was trying to think what might be helpful to share. So maybe I'll give a bit about my background and role with Rotary, and then we'll share more about what our roles are and how we can facilitate and help all of the examples you've just heard continue in the future. So my name is Carrie Golden. I'm the partnerships manager for Rotary International's partnerships that really center on service. All of our partnerships are centered on service, but we like to think of these partnerships as special peers in the world of, we have the similar global presence, and we also have overlapping interests, what that Rotary calls areas of focus and causes, or areas for development for Peace Corps. So we find that we found that through our shared geography and presence and our shared interests of community-led development, we tend to be great partners for each other. So that has led to both Ted and me having this wonderful position of being able to spend our time trying to help you all connect and communicate, tell those stories, share the opportunities when they come up for individuals to engage, or perhaps for clubs or even districts. We sometimes see that districts align with countries, so we've been able to facilitate connections between country offices from Peace Corps and a Rotary presence that has that district-wide country engagement. And really, we are supports for you all. We can share examples we've seen. We've heard about many tonight in various realms of our areas of focus. We look to Peace Corps as leaders in DEI initiatives and innovative ways to think about or respect the shared principle of community-led engagement and priorities. And then we look to each other for expertise. And so we help share that when it's needed. And so maybe Rotary has a project that we're thinking, we could really learn from Peace Corps in terms of how they approach climate or youth engagement, and we'll try to connect the people who could share that knowledge. Or vice versa, we've had experiences where Peace Corps is looking to identify community projects that would be meaningful, and Rotary in country has been a valuable source for community assessments. And so we exist to help navigate the large, I call them large and messy, but wonderful networks of our different organizations. And, we have staff and volunteers, and the ways that we combine and support each other can be tricky to navigate. So we help identify who's the right person to talk to, or maybe thinking about ways to get those opportunities out through our various communications platforms. And that's at the beginning of experiences, but then we love to help tell those stories that really illustrate and give others ideas of how they could collaborate with Peace Corps or with RPCV alumni communities in the US or really anywhere. But so I'll take a step back, but we're here for you. We've both dropped our information in the chat, and they're your ideas. We're just hoping to try to help you facilitate as it's a big world out there. And there's a lot of pieces that go into the various projects and service activities we could do together, whether they fall on the fellowship side of things or the service and community development side of things. So I'll turn it over to Ted, and then hopefully we'll have some time later to answer any questions that come up.
Thanks, Carrie. So I'm Ted Adams. I am a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Ecuador, where my wife and I served for 2 years in 98 to 2000. And yeah, I'm quite moved to have served under both two directors on the call and some of my favorite people at Rotary who have not only helped with this partnership, but also been real allies in helping us just strengthen partnerships both domestically and internationally. But I think if you look at the agenda for this week, it's quite a mashup, right, of people. And I think it really speaks to our people are everywhere, right? This network is everywhere. You have expertise in WASH, you have regional expertise, you have boots on the ground regionally and in different topic areas. And so, and just watching Megan give that presentation, we have a lot more people on the Peace Corps side, really fluent in what I would say Rotary, at least in how Rotary works and how Peace Corps works and some of these areas of opportunity. You have Mike McCabe here, who's a regional director of our Inter-America and Pacific, who's an incoming president of the Washington, D.C. Rotary Club, a leader at Peace Corps, and has been a great champion of the partnership. He and others have helped us really bring informed posts about those opportunities that are there for Peace Corps. And Mike, are you there? You want to say hi?
Sure. No, it's just great to see everyone and see so many familiar faces. I think it's been said enough that we share a very common mission at probably one of the most important points in recent history, where the world needs peace. It needs local development opportunities. It needs that sense of connection. And I think working together, I've seen it work both from the Rotary side and the Peace Corps side. So really excited to what this week could do, and looking for other ways that we can work together. Someone asked about the virtual model, and I will tell you that there were a number of us when I came back to Peace Corps 3 years ago as regional director. We were dubious about how well it would work, and I've now traveled to pretty much all the IAP posts and have met with communities impacted by the virtual, the response, and the 2-year ways to serve. And it is amazing. I was in a rural community of Jamaica, and a woman who is a teacher out in California was training teachers in the rural school in new approaches on literacy. And then 3 youth who were at a pretty low level of literacy came and each read me a book, and she had been the teacher in charge of doing the pullout with these 3 particular kids. And, she took her 12 hours a week, and she was supporting a community, and it was really powerful. I've seen that all over. We have 2 virtual volunteers supporting the new Central America Service Corps in Guatemala right now. and they'll convert actually into Peace Corps response volunteers in November. So there's all sorts of fascinating ways that we're now able to layer the different levels of expertise based on where people had the ability to give at that moment. So
thank you. Thank you, all three of you, actually. I was now, Carrie and Ted, do you have anything else you'd like to add, or does anyone have questions for either Carrie or Ted? Or I should say, is it Michael? I should add you to the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could talk all day about Rotary,
Okay.
so we won't.
Then
Don't resist.
we're going to move ahead then, and our next speaker is actually Jody Olsen. She was the past Peace Corps director from 2018 through 2021, and she began her Peace Corps legacy as a volunteer in Tunisia. Then on your country director in Togo, you have a long list here. Regional director, and then what is NANIAP?
It was North Africa, Near East Asia, and the Pacific back in the old days when Carrie was a volunteer.
And then you went on to be director of Kazakhstan?
Yeah, I had 6 weeks directing Kazakhstan when I was deputy director. It was one of the most humbling, changing, wonderful experiences I had.
I think we've got a PowerPoint slide that we're going to share, but if you want to go ahead and tell us.
Let me just go ahead. I don't think we need the slide. Why don't I just go ahead, because the slide's pretty clear anyway. Thank you. I want to do a special thank you, one to Carrie, who has always been a guide for me over many years. I want to do a real thank you to Steve Werner. Steve and I go back 40 years, probably just 10 for you, but 40 for me. But Steve has been such a gift, and again, a mentor, particularly having to do with wash and water issues and Rotary, and a special one to Ted. Ted Adams and I worked together the 3 years I was there, and he introduced me to the wonderfulness of Rotary and the extraordinary work that this partnership brings. What I'm going to say, I think, has largely been covered, but I will review it briefly with everyone. And then I have a special appeal at the end. So why Peace Corps and Rotary? I want just to say I'm not a Rotarian. I have been to many Rotary meetings. I love the work. I should. Our Rotary just meets down the street, so I get inspired every time I come, and I've got to do more. But why Peace Corps and Rotary? Rotary is a community. Peace Corps is a community. Rotary groups make a difference locally that can be seen, felt, and be personally engaging. Likewise, Peace Corps and Peace Corps volunteers. All local communities throughout the world are really similar, whether across waters, cultures, languages, or traditions. We all work, Rotary and Peace Corps, we all work for the same goals, building communities for peace. And as we work as teams, our impact is multiplied. Rotarians and Peace Corps volunteers working together can virtually see, hear, touch the young mothers, the children, the farmers, the health workers, the teachers and their families in these community settings across regions and nations. These interactions change people one at a time, communities at a time, here and abroad. How does this happen? In talking about how it happens, I'm going to talk primarily about local Rotary groups here and community with volunteers there. And I am so grateful that so many other ways are also possible. I think of the Peace Corps volunteer as the spark. The volunteer lives in a community, learns about concerns the community has, whether it's inadequate IT equipment, young adult literacy learning centers, environmentally proper waste disposal, or young infant nutritional support. These volunteers act as a spark. They're an idea generator for the community to articulate priority needs based on health, education, youth, or the other sectors. Local Rotarians can be part of the generation of these projects because they too know the local culture, language, and community. Peace Corps projects developed by volunteers and their communities are approved and posted on the Peace Corps website. In the meantime, local Rotarians here in the US are setting goals and seeing opportunities for community engagement and support. The 7 areas of focus is that guide. The community engagement that the local Rotarians emphasize include places where Peace Corps volunteers serve. So to connect, one of the ways to connect is the Rotarian clubs here in the US go to the Peace Corps website, find the projects that fit their interest for service. The projects listed on the website are linked through with the local US Rotarians for engagement and the local Rotarians in the countries where the volunteers serve. Rotarian clubs choosing this route for international partnering have a significant impact. The volunteer is the glue, the spark, as volunteers already have village trust. They use both languages, understand both the US and the local cultures. They build understanding between the Rotarians and the participating farmers or the teachers or the healthcare workers. And all 100% of the resources raised by Rotarian groups go directly to the projects. None of it gets lost. 100% goes. So small grant Rotarian Peace Corps projects multiply resources. These small Rotary partnership grants encourage other giving, often significant, from local Rotarians in the countries, local volunteers, other NGOs, the Peace Corps Global Fund, or even USAID and other international groups. These other community resources build the staying power for the project after the volunteer leaves and gives the US Rotary clubs continuing goodwill with the in-country groups that have been established through the partnership. So in these partnerships, Peace Corps volunteers provide skills, trust, community project development. Rotarians provide funds, more trust, and limited but very important backup technical support to the volunteer and to the local Rotary groups. The primary Rotarian role is small-scale funding, which then offers back to the groups stories, photos, testimonials, and FaceTime connections that bring the club here in the US and its international projects together. They share together successes, learnings, and maybe even family photos across the distances. They might even cook a meal together on FaceTime. These distances disappear in the common thread of making a difference. Now, I know one of the questions asked was the Rotarians, the Rotary 7 areas of focus and Peace Corps 6 program sectors. How do you bring those together? Well, it's easy because it's about the project and it's about the work. It's not about the title. Just to give an example, I remember the wonderful volunteer in Timor-Leste who was an education volunteer, but had set up this wonderful program where different elements, the food, plastic, rubber, paper, cloth, they would bury them. And during the course of the year, they would open up where they had buried them to see how fast they were becoming part of the earth. And this program was being developed school by school. And Rotarians were beginning to get involved with some of the training materials and opening up in more schools. Well, what do you call this project? Is it an education project? Is it an environmental project? And for the Rotarians, is it is it a disease prevention? Is it environment? Is it health or is it education? I give this example because it doesn't matter. It's the work, it's the together. We can name these projects whatever we want. They will meet our goals because we choose to have them meet the goals if they're successful in the community. And another question that's been asked is, are the Rotarian Peace Corps partnerships on the Rotarian side about resources and or technical? Well, the illustrations that I've given have been closer to the resource side. And the resource side is really important for what I said, because it becomes a multiplier with the spark that's going on in the community. And these resources can be $1,000, $5,000, $6,000. It's not big money, it's little money, because it opens up so many other in-kind kinds of resources. But as many of you have already talked about, the people part, the technical part, the local Rotarians, the US Rotarians, through virtual, through all the ways that we have to connect now, we can provide technical support. So it's both. But in saying it's both, I want to come into the importance of small scale monies that just free up so much volunteer activity in the community. I wanted to close, well, not close, but I wanted to put out a special note that I think is important for Peace Corps and particularly for Rotarians. I've been getting more involved with understanding young people. And as I've been working with universities and faculty and students in college, and as we have all been reading, we have been appreciating that many younger people, high school level, college, young 20-somethings, are increasingly talking about, and much of this comes from COVID and from screens, that many young people express fear in taking risks, in trying new experiences, and in being face-to-face, volunteering in unknown communities. We've all, who are much older, or somewhat older, have taken doing this for granted. For young people, this is a fear. I want to pick up on what Carrie said when she talked about fear. These fears of the other have been magnified, often with this younger group, and in part because of COVID. I say this, and it's very important, because the Rotarian groups in the US can reach out through the service the Rotarians give in communities here and with the Peace Corps projects, can engage with and mentor young people. It's important that we bring young students, young professionals, to volunteer specifically with us and our projects. We show them person by person the power of personally making a difference. I've had young people say to me, I need someone to ask me to join in volunteering. Ask me and take me, bring me. And what I've heard is, become my hero. Show me how a difference is made personally. This is a special appeal because of the group that we need to bring forward for the next generation to be Peace Corps volunteers, to be Rotarians, to be community volunteers, to be service-minded. And I find it our own responsibilities in all this activity we're doing. We reach and personally bring young people with us. We become their heroes one by one. Rotary and Peace Corps have great power for positive change, much more power than either of us apart, for families, persons, and every village at a time, that ultimately brings international peace. Thank you. And thank you to Rotary, and thank you for the goodness that you all give.
Thank you, Jody. Yes, we should applaud all of the speakers tonight, Jody included. Does anyone have any particular questions for Jody or any of the other speakers tonight?
I do. Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
We're trying to find ways to link our Rotary Club with the Peace Corps community here, which is fairly large. We have a large return Peace Corps volunteer community. Is there a place where we could go to see if we were doing a project, if there's a Peace Corps volunteer in that country, or even if we could get the contact information for the Peace Corps office in that country?
I'm sure several of us can answer that, but I'll just say that for safety, security, and privacy reasons, individual volunteers are not identified. However, and then I think the people who are on the ground today can answer it better. However, as we contact Peace Corps Washington can help build the bridge into the country, into the community, and to the volunteer, and then work it back out to be in touch with us. And it was one of the reasons why I suggested that we look at, as Rotarian groups, look at what is on the website in terms of opportunities for serving, but also for the projects that are listed, because that's an easy way to make a direct connection that otherwise sometimes is difficult to do. But now I'll turn it to others to give better answers.
I'll just add another way to connect is that we are actually having recruiters around the country are having send-off departure parties. So you can contact a local recruiter at Peace Corps and they can connect you to one of these gatherings where they invite invitees to come, and it's a chance for Rotarians and other folks to meet and connect with them. And that's a good opportunity increasingly as we grow these for folks to meet up with an invitee from their community as they head off to Peace Corps, and they can kind of bring Rotary with them. And the other thing with connecting in country, and Jody said it well about the safety and security, we really are encouraging Rotary clubs in the States, if they'd like to connect in a country overseas, to try to reach out to a club on the ground working in an area that you're interested in supporting, and trying to connect that Rotary club with our country posts. We're just trying to make connections as close to the ground as possible. But again, Carrie and I are always open to talking through ideas or initiatives you're working on to see if there's alignment and if we can help make those connections.
Okay, thank you.
And Sheila, I think you're muted, but you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I'm on the Peace Corps website and I don't see anything that shows projects. Is it the work sectors that are the projects?
Let me see. Steve, could you pull up the peacecorps.gov website? I know that you have to scroll down a little bit. And it does.
Yeah, so we just relaunched the new website. It's been a while since it's been redone. And so the new website takes a little change of perspective on kind of how you navigate it. But yeah, if you go in there, you'll kind of see a series of different sub-tabs, and you'll see what we do. And if you just hover over what we do, you'll see it say where we serve, life in the Peace Corps, what's like after service, our mission. If you go to ways to serve, you'll see our work sectors. You can look by sector. Serve with us, you can look at the 3 models, and service assignments. The easiest way to find an assignment is go to service assignments and browse opportunities.
Okay.
And then that's kind of this interesting, you could click on browse opportunity. You could search a number of different ways. You could search by sector, but if you go into just browse opportunities, you could say, I'm looking at 2-year response or virtual. And then you could click by what sectors, what regions, what countries you're interested in, and it'll open up all the specific opportunities that are there, and you just click apply now, and you're kicked right into the process. And you could actually talk with someone through the process that'll come on to kind of talk with you about your application process. So this
Wonderful.
just relaunched, and so there's lots of different ways. I also posted in the chat. There's never been a more important time as we've been coming back from COVID to each one, as Jody said, ask someone to consider serving one of those three ways. And we find that it's a lot better to ask one person than 100 people. And so we started the Each One Reach One campaign with NPCA, our National Peace Corps Association, and gave them all the tools to reach out, whether they're going to speak at a Rotary Club meeting, a school, a university, a family member, a friend of another family. And we've given them the tools to like just have that conversation to ask one person. And it could be a Rotary person saying, hey, you know, we've got lots of ways to serve in Rotary, but you coming out of grad school, it would seem like a great opportunity for you to serve right now in Peace Corps. Here's the link to, you know, how you get started. It really is important for both Rotary and Peace Corps right now on how we're helping each other get people of all ages. I mean, I just visited Russ, who is, I think he's 79 years old. He's served almost 30 years in Peace Corps in 13 different places. I'm sure Jody and Carrie know him well. He's now down in our program in Paraguay. So we have people of all different ages. So
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Caroline, I'm sorry, I know that your hand is also up.
Thanks. To
Yeah, maybe.
answer Sal's quick question, we work very closely with the Peace Corps recruiter that was assigned to Hawaii. We're really lucky. We've never had a full-time recruiter out here in Hawaii. And I run the return group for the state. And one of the things we do way back for the last 10 years is we've been sending care packages to kids as they're overseas. So in essence, Sala, now our recruiter sends messages to everyone that is going from Hawaii. And she asks them if it's okay to reach out to our group so that we can get their local email or the email for the kids. We're not violating Peace Corps privacy because we have 15 kids overseas from Hawaii right now, and 9 of them have contacted me with their emails about care packages. And what we've done now that we have the partnership, and I'm now a Rotarian, is that we have talked to them about the Rotary partnership as well. And there's a very good chance that one of our gals in Panama, who is working with a hospital and a hospice center, she's very interested in a connection. So that's cool. But if you have an active, really cool recruiter in your neighborhood or your area, talk with them. And the second thing, we ended up meeting with Representative Ed Case and some of our state congressional reps, and all of them send out a letter once a year to kids serving. And I mean, I was an older adult. I was a senior citizen at the age of 62 when I went to Ukraine. And I received a letter from my California congressman because I was still living in California. But that's another area you could write your congressional people and find out who's serving and maybe find out if you can get their information. Because we found that the congressional people had names that the recruiter didn't have. So there's some disconnects there, but now we've found all 15. And like I said, I have 9 kids that I'm talking with about grants and partnership and care packages.
Thank you. That's great information to share. You know, I'm going to leave this. I feel like I'm at a class reunion here, or actually a reunion. But for those of you who are able to join us tomorrow, we'll be on at 11 Eastern, and we'll be hearing about efforts between Peace Corps and Rotary to promote peaceful living in Eastern Africa. And there'll be Eastern Africa meaning Ghana and South Sudan and what's happening, of course, in Sudan. And Wednesday, also at 11 o'clock, we'll hear about Ukraine and Moldova and the efforts in the Eastern European countries around that. Thursday, we'll be back in the evening at 7 o'clock Eastern, and we'll be hearing from Central America, a WASH project there, as well as possibly a meeting with some current Peace Corps staff in Guatemala, and with someone that works in a circuit riding program in Honduras. We appreciate very much your interest and your questions tonight, and this Zoom meeting has been recorded. It will be available soon, I think, on the Partnering for Peace website. And we have one last video to share. Is that right, Steve?
Remind me, Rosemary.
It's the one, it's my favorite one. It's the dirt road.
Oh, okay. Hold on. That's not quite queued up. Why don't you just take a few more questions while I get it queued up.
If we have questions, or you're all free to talk within the group, because I think all of you know each other.
Hey, Rosemary, this is Jimbo Skiles
Hi, Jimbo.
in Gainesville. Regarding reaching and partnershiping with Peace Corps, as we start our WASH project in South Sudan that maybe Jacob will talk a little bit about tomorrow.
Yes.
Who do we reach out to if we're not able to contact a local Peace Corps member, which I don't believe there are any in South Sudan right now, according to the map? How do we share our future work there with Peace Corps so we might be able to partner?
Actually, I think tomorrow we are going to have somebody from Ghana, I think. Roxanne is going to be on. There will be a Peace Corps staff person on the call tomorrow as well. But actually, Carrie or Jody, do either of you want to answer this, or Ted? Carrie, anyone?
We just made a grant to Promised Land Academy in Juba, South Sudan. That's also supported. When I say we, I'm sorry. Switch hats. The Rotary Club Global of Washington, D.C. Made one to the Promised Land School for Ed Technology. And it would be great to connect. We're working also with the Rotary Club of Juba on that project. From a Peace Corps standpoint, probably the closest connection is working, obviously, with the Peace Corps activities in Uganda, which obviously has a big flow back and forth between South Sudan and Uganda for lots of different reasons. But yeah.
Would you like to share information with Jimbo?
Sure, I could share some with him. Yeah.
Jimbo, did you log in as James or Jimbo?
I think probably James. I don't know who I am these days, according to the internet. But James is my proper name.
Sharon Skiles is what it says.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay.
With the cute dogs.
Thank you. Yeah, now you have to figure out which one I am.
Also from District 6970, Northeast Florida. And yes. he and his club has got a project that we're going to talk about tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I hope some of you will come back and join us at that time. And I'm not going to share too much about it because I know that Jacob Atem, who's going to be one of the speakers, he's a lost boy from Sudan. And so he's a very charismatic guy.
And Michael, we are working with the Juba Club as well on our project. Thank you. Great to hear from all these speakers. I have friends that have been in the Peace Corps, but it's wonderful to hear your stories. And I think the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. And I think Rotarians and Peace Corps members belong to the same family.
Yes, exactly. You know, what we've been doing in my Rotary Club, I'm a member of the Jacksonville Oceanside Club in District 6970. And when we have a community service project locally, we invite people from the First Coast Return Peace Corps volunteer to participate. So last week, we, spread a bunch of mulch at a school, and we've made dinners together. We've made, serving the homeless. We do a very big project for, like, once a month, we serve, about 100 and some meals. So that's what we do to reach out to the RPCVs. And we've had really good response from them. And some of them actually attend our meetings then afterwards. So I think we see some interest in becoming members.
Very good.
Very good. Did you find it, Steve?
Yes.
Yes. We have a number of videos for a whole week, if you can imagine. There's a lot of moving parts.
Just about there. Just
Okay.
but I'm ready. Hold on.
Okay.
Here we go.
If okay, we're ready.
Can you see it?
I see it.
What are the three goals of Peace Corps?
Sorry.
From countries that ask for our support on the part of Americans. Side by side, volunteers go out at the invitation of foreign governments, and they go into local communities and they work on locally identified priorities and really share the diversity of America. So it is very much an organization that is based on cross-cultural respect, deep partnership, and really working together on those issues that are most challenging.
Well, I think as you know, there's really if you look at the.
I'm sorry, everybody. I have the wrong video. Keep taking some questions, and I'll get I'll find it. Sorry, I thought I had it queued up.
Oh, it's all right. But I do appreciate everyone's time tonight. And go ahead, you're free to talk among yourselves because I know so many of you know each other.
And we'll have it later in the week if we can't find it right now. But it's a video that is from the early years of Peace Corps, showing volunteers in action and teaming up with some Rotarians. So it's a little bit of history that predates the actual signing of the partnership.
And I guess what I find so touching about this video is there's a part in there where there are people walking down a dirt road. And, you know, that dirt road could be in South America, it could be in Africa, it could be in Eastern Europe, it could be Asia, it could be anywhere. And I think that's really what I found so touching about it. It's, you know, every one of us who've served overseas as a volunteer or worked on a global grant overseas, you recognize that dirt road. We've all walked on it. So I wanted to thank all of you for your attention tonight and wish you a good night and hope that tomorrow we will see some of you come back. And if not tomorrow, then Wednesday or later in the week. But we appreciate all that you've done and appreciate all the speakers, of course, Carrie Hessler, Radelet, and I would say Cal, Carrie, and Megan in their video, Carrie Golden, Ted Adams, Jody Olsen, and also my co-host tonight, Charlie Hunt and Stephen Werner. You're all great. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Buenas noches.
Buenas
Good
noches.
night, Jimbo.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches.
Good night, Martha.
Buenas
Good night,
noches.
John Boy.
Good night, John. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Okay.
Sí. Hasta mañana.
Hasta mañana.
Mhm.